Dan Shinder here on Drum Talk TV. Chime into the comments. Let us know where you're watching from, how you're doing, or if you have any questions for our guest. First-time offender, first-time hazing with Dorothea Taylor. I'm so excited to have you on. Thank you so much for making time, especially being on the East Coast here in America, where it's pretty late there. It's like 9 o'clock there. Thank you.
Still early for me.
That's great. Yeah, we were texting back and forth earlier, and you mentioned you're a night owl because, you know, all the gigging your whole life and all that.
Yeah.
And do you sleep in the morning, or are you also up early?
No, I am not an early morning person. No.
I am cursed. I'm up late, and then I'm up usually between 4 or 5 in the morning, and it's like, that used to be easy. Now I'm in my 60s, and it's like, I don't know about this, but that's how it is.
I don't get up until about 9:30.
Oh, that's nice. That's great.
Yeah.
Awesome. Well, let's see. Let's start with this. Well, first of all, folks, for those of you who've been living under a rock for 50 years or whatever and don't know who Dorothea is, not only is she an awesome content creator across many different social channels, doing drum covers of bands like Paramore, Disturbed, Slipknot, Blink-182, but she's also played with Barry Williams, who the great Peter Gabriel actually wrote a song about the Barry Williams show, but she's also played with Ray Charles. And back in her early days, she started in Drum Bugle Corps and even played organ in her church. So she's already a multi-instrumentalist and a band leader. But I want to start with this, Dorothea. Why the drums? Other than the fact that they're the easiest instrument to move around, why the drums? What turned you on to the drums, and was it your first instrument, or was piano or organ?
Piano started my first. I was in second or third grade. I was 8 years old, and then 6th grade I signed up for band, but I wasn't allowed to sign up for drums because I was interested in drums already just by watching people in parades and watching drummers on TV. And so I signed up and I played the saxophone in middle school just for the first year, sixth grade. And then something happened. My father had to have serious surgery, and you had to make monthly payments, you know, on that instrument.
Yeah.
And we couldn't afford it. And so they came and they took it from me at the house. And I remember crying, and my mom was so mad. My mom was mad at the store owner because she grew up with him and went to school with him, and she was mad that he couldn't, let it slide until my dad got back to work. But I remember crying when they came and got it.
Oh, wow!
And then in 8th grade, I started playing the drums. But like your first question about that, I just scrolling. I'm always on TikTok or Instagram, sometimes Facebook too. And there's a little 2-year-old sitting behind the drum playing, knowing where the downbeat was, knowing where one is. That's the reason that I play drums, because I was just born to be a drummer.
That's awesome.
There are people that say, okay, let's see now, what instrument should I play? And they really haven't thought it out. They haven't dreamed about being a drummer. I always knew that I was going to be a drummer. Always.
That's neat. I love that you mentioned that seeing drummers in a parade evoked something. I've spoken to people in the typically not just Louisiana area, but a lot of people in Louisiana where there's a lot of second line and, you know, a lot of parades and different things like that got turned on to drumming the same way. They'd see them just marching through the street or down on the French Quarter, you know, all these different things, and just the energy and the sound and the pomp and circumstance of all that. And it was the drums that they gravitated towards from that experience.
Yeah. We just got back not too long ago, I don't know, 6-7 weeks ago from New Orleans, and got to talk to some of the old Dixieland guys, you know?
Yeah.
And I asked, there was a group of younger drummers and, you know, horns and everything. And I said, do you guys play in high school or in college band? And he said, some of us do. He said, but we are all like second, third, fourth, fifth generation, and it's just handed down to us. And I hadn't thought about that, and I thought, oh, that's really cool.
Yeah, like a cultural element of
It
the
is
area too,
cultural to them.
just like the food and the dance and everything.
Yep.
Did you happen to see when you were down there, Dorothea? Did you happen to see a band out in the streets called Tuba Skinny? Are you familiar with them?
I know them, but no, everywhere we went, I did not see them.
We've had Robin on the show before. Gosh, it's probably been 3 years now. And
Oh, I
Robin,
will.
who plays the washboard with the cans on it, it's just amazing what he
I will.
does.
When I was there, I was like, well, darn, I didn't bring my washboard because I could have just even played on the corner because people were recognizing me
Yeah,
walking the streets of New Orleans. They were stopping me and taking selfies with me.
that's
And
great.
I could have made a few extra bucks and put on the
For
can.
sure. For sure.
But it
And
would have been so fun if I had thought of it earlier, because it would
yeah.
just slip in your suitcase.
Well, something that's interested me about your playing is that I know you come from Drum and Bugle Corps, and there's a lot of other drummers that have a drumline background. Emmanuel Capelet is one of them. And I've asked her the same question when I asked the question of someone who's been in drumline or drum corps. What are some of the elements other than the obvious, the rudiments that you brought from that experience to the drum set? And the reason why that intrigues me is because it's not a given that someone can translate those skills from drumline or drum corps to the drum set, because the drum set, there's a whole different thing, and you've got it, the feel, the groove, it's different. So how did you blend the two, and what did you pick to integrate, and how did you make it work?
I don't know. That's a hard question. I feel like it was just kind of just learning by mistake, maybe, because I started playing in bands when I was 17. I graduated when I was 17, just because my birthday's late in November. And so by the time fall came, like September, I got my first band. And so I had a drum set, but I had never been in a band. So I was just listening to what other drummers were doing, but I still had those rudimental chops, like you said. But then I had to figure out, okay, independence with all four limbs versus just two hands. And so I think it was just what do you call it, where you try it and try and try and
Instinctive,
try.
kind of instinctive to a degree.
Yeah.
There's this debate whether or not groove or feel can be taught, or whether you either have it or you don't. And I really don't know the answer to that, because I have seen drummers that play at a kit, whether they've been in drumline or not, that are just kind of rigid, and they don't really have, even with 4 on the floor rock, they still don't really have the swing or the feel or the groove, whereas other people, it just seems to come a little more natural, and I don't know if it can be taught.
I think that part is natural, because I don't think you can teach. Like some of my students over the years, and even this year, there are a few that can do it, and then there are a few that can't. And I can teach you everything that you need to know, except I can't teach you natural groove and feel. It's so intangible,
right?
Yeah.
Well, I want to show a couple clips of you playing, and this first one, you're playing a quite simple beat, but demonstrating exactly what we're talking about. And what I think is so important about this is, even down to the most, no pun intended, rudimentary or fundamental and even elementary beats, you can have groove and swing, and it's in the timing, it's in the touch. So I want to show this video first, and then we'll show a couple more. Check this out, folks. Dorothy and I will be right back. Love that. We're going to break it down even more. Check this out, folks. That's a great example of feel and drumming are two different things. You have to put them together. It's not just the math of where the beats are, it's how you play it. You can give the same written out music or play the same recording for someone to emulate to five different people, and it might sound five different ways if some have more feel than others, or the touch that they're using.
Exactly.
It's really interesting to me. And then to adapt that to different styles. And you play many different styles. Speaking of one of them, I'd love for you to share anything you can about playing with Ray Charles.
Well, I was in our local symphony orchestra, and the orchestra was, pretty good. And so Ray Charles was coming to town to do a concert. And so then we found out that they were hiring ringers to fill in slots, and they didn't have to go outside of Myrtle Beach, where I'm from, to get them, say from Charleston or Charlotte or Wilmington or something. They could
Right.
just use what we had here in our orchestra. And so, of course, he brought his own drummer and keyboardist, guitar and bass, and then him on, keys also.
Right.
But they needed timpani. So my friend who was in the orchestra with me, she took care of the timpani. And then they needed like congas and shakers and tambourines and stuff. And I had a brand new, beautiful set of LP classics. And so I got to be on stage with Ray Charles. It was just
Wow, that's amazing. At the time, this may sound like a dumb question, but at the time, did you realize like how big he was and what that was that you were doing?
I think I did. It's been several years ago.
Yeah, what year was that? Do you recall?
No, not for sure, but I think at least 25 years ago.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Interesting.
And so, people say, "Oh, how was he?" Well, we came in as an orchestra and went out on the stage they had set up for us and rehearsed with his music director, went over all the songs. And then it was time for people to start coming in. We had a little break. And then when the audience was all filled up, we played at like an opener. And so his assistant, brought him in. He had his arm, and he brought him in, set him right down by the keyboard.
Yeah.
So then we did the whole concert, and after the last song, his assistant took him out, and then we played the song out. And then, of course, we have all these things, to get off the stage and everything.
Yeah.
So no one ever saw him. He was just in and out.
Must have been a great experience still, though.
Yeah, it was.
That's awesome. Now you've done so many different drum covers of hard rock and everything. What's your favorite kind of music? Do you have a favorite kind of music?
Well, like I liked all the Led Zeppelin stuff.
Mhm.
I still do. I like Dave Matthews Band. I like Stevie Ray Vaughan. So I have a wide range of stuff that
Yeah.
I like. Classic rock, just Aerosmith. I loved Aerosmith, and just all those fun tunes. But I love playing shuffles.
Yeah, I've
So
noticed. Yeah.
yeah, I love shuffles. At
That's
one
good.
time, I was playing around here in Myrtle Beach, and I had played with this group and that group, just like a emergency kind of thing. So and so's drummers out of town. Will you play with us and stuff?
Right.
They don't even give you charts or anything. They just figure you know the songs, and they would throw out songs, and I would play, a good shuffle with the ghost note and everything, and they were just all amazed. They said that every time that I played with a group, they said, "I can't believe your shuffle. It was so awesome. I've never even heard anyone play that shuffle that way." Well, I'm playing it correctly.
Yeah, maybe no one's done that. Who was your biggest influence or influences regarding the shuffle and other drummers that influenced
Regarding
you?
the shuffle itself, Well, I was going to say my biggest influence, just getting started on drums, was Buddy Rich, but he wasn't just shuffling kind of stuff. Uh, well, Stanton Moore, and he's from New Orleans and stuff.
Yeah.
I've followed him, and he did a performance here in Myrtle Beach one time, and I got to meet him and get my picture made with him and stuff. But I'm trying to think of who else. I can't even think right now who plays really good shuffles. But like Zeppelin had that famous
Yeah. Full in the Rain.
Yes, and
Yeah. And Bernard
also
Purdy with a bunch of them.
Yep, I love the Purdy Shuffle. I love the Purdy Shuffle in 12/8.
Yeah.
They're just all fun.
Yeah, absolutely. And who are some other influences? You mentioned Buddy Rich. I've heard of him.
Mm-hmm. And then all these other fantastic drummers like Dave Garibaldi did a clinic in Myrtle Beach one year, and that was fantastic. Dave Weckl came and did a clinic, and that was just incredible. So just people like that, and like Steve Smith, Keith Carlock. I love Keith to death.
Yeah, these are all great drummers. Yeah.
Vinny Colaiuta, I just love his style.
Oh yeah.
That snare backbeat that he has.
Yeah.
You can tell that it's him.
Yeah.
If I didn't even know, I could tell by the sound of his cymbals, but I could tell by that snare backbeat. Isn't that weird?
Yeah. Yeah. Definitely a signature part of his style.
Yep. And Dave Weckl had a 6-inch Zildjian, I think it was an A, little splash, a 6-inch A. And I wouldn't even know that it was Dave Weckl's music. It would be playing, and I would hear that, and I'd be like, that's Dave Weckl. Sure enough, it would be Dave Weckl.
Yeah.
So it's just, everybody has their signature sounds. There's so many drummers that I love.
Yeah. There's a nice variety that you just mentioned, and it's important to pick up different influences and not just focus on one lane, or you'll be limited on the tools you put in your toolbox and how much you can pick up.
A lot of people are just, they only see like Neil Peart and nobody else. They don't widen. And there's so much other stuff.
Yeah, I agree. Now, growing up, did you face resistance as a female drummer?
Not that I was aware of, but the only thing that I could say is like now. I mean, I'm old and I don't care, and I don't really want a club, 3 nights a week or 4 nights, 5 nights a week, plugging that stuff. I've been there, done that. But I mean, all these people that are in bands that play up and down the beach, because Myrtle Beach is a tourist area.
Yeah.
And they're filling those slots with drummers, but I don't get a call. So then that makes me wonder, why don't they call me sometime? But I really don't want to do it anyway.
They might think you're too big for them. I mean, you've blown up so much. Sometimes people are intimidated, don't know how to approach. Really?
That's right.
Yeah.
Wait for me.
That's what it is. No, you're such a wonderful ambassador for female drummers. What advice do you have for young ladies or even older women, middle-aged women, whatever age, who want to learn to play drums, but they're hesitant of being outcast or facing resistance? And what would you tell parents of young ladies and little girls that want to play drums? Because I think it's still a topic. It really is.
It is, but it shouldn't really be now, because if you search female drummers on Instagram or TikTok, there are a lot of fantastic young drummers in their 20s and 30s that are magnificent drummers.
Oh, yeah.
Annika Niles, or Niles, however.
Niles, Senri Kawaguchi.
Yeah. Oh, my gosh.
Manuel Caplet.
I follow her. And I mean, there's so many. And so then there's these young girls that are still in school that are really, really good too. So that stigma of, it just being a male instrument, I think it's kind of moved down the line a little bit. It's not as strong as it used to be. This is just for guys to be playing. But there are
Mm-hmm.
so many because on Facebook, I'm a member of Drummer Girls United.
Mm-hmm.
And she started the platform out and she might have had, a couple hundred. Now it's up to like 7,000. Now
Yeah,
they're
I
all
was there in the
degrees of
beginning. It's
learning.
blown
It
up.
could be just 1 month in learning or 3 years or
Yeah,
professionals. So they're all listed in there. But it's like, oh, it's over 7,000 females
yeah,
drumming now,
yeah, yeah. It's
just the members of
crazy.
that particular group. Yeah.
Yeah. So for parents of young ladies, if they want to play drums, let
Don't,
them play drums.
yes, let them play.
Yeah,
Do not stop them.
yeah.
And parents of males also, males and females, because I have worked for years and years and years, probably the last 35 years at the middle school. And the sixth graders come in, I get them started with their basics, how to hold their sticks and what's a quarter note, what's an eighth note, just to get them started.
Yeah.
And I have by the time they're in eighth grade now, they've been in their this is their third year of playing drums, and a lot of them will tell me that they do not have sticks at home, they do not
Oh,
have a practice pad at home,
oh,
and they
wow.
certainly don't have drums at home because they're too loud. Well, why do you want your kid to be in a band if you're not going to let them practice? They have to practice at home.
Yeah, yeah.
That would be like
Not just
buying a
when they're at
trumpet
school.
and never letting the child bring the trumpet home to practice.
Yeah, yeah. That's
That
crazy.
that's crazy to me.
And
So
maybe
yes,
as parents that aren't musicians, they just don't understand
they
that or
don't.
something.
They don't
Yeah,
understand that
and it's
it takes
interesting.
hours and hours, like a day, let alone a week,
Yeah,
to
yeah. I've been playing 54 years and I still suck. So there you go. But on the topic of learning, I want to show a couple more videos briefly, and then I'd love for you to chime in on your thoughts on what are some of the big takeaways people need to know, whether they're just learning or always improving, and some tips for fellow music educators as well on how to teach and get great results out of their students. But first, let's watch a couple more videos. Check.
95 beats per minute with eighth notes in. Ready, go.
I just love it. So what are some tips you have for learners and some tips you have for teachers to get best results?
Well, I always go back to George Stone's stick control. It's just like if you're going to learn how to read, you have to learn your ABCs first.
Mm,
And George Stone's stick control is the ABCs of learning how to play the drums. Page 5 is the first page of the book, and that is what gets you going. And if you cannot play page 5, then you can't play anything for the rest of the book, in my opinion.
yeah.
Page 5 are the multiple stickings. It starts out with singles and then doubles. Everything is comprised of singles, doubles, and flams.
Mm-hmm.
Those 3 items right there. You're either playing singles or doubles, or flams and singles, or flams and doubles. Everything derives from those 3 things. you have to know those in order to get around the kit. And so just George Stone, just like line 5 is a paradiddle. It doesn't tell you in George Stone, it just shows you right, left, right, right, left, right, left, left.
Yeah.
And that is your paradiddle. Line 6 is the inverted paradiddle. So it's right, left, left, right, left, right, right, left. So I always teach the students a regular paradiddle is paradiddle. Then the second line, line 6 of it, it is paradiddle. You're putting the diddle in the middle.
Yeah.
And then the third variation is diddle para. So when you're playing it, it almost sounds like that, like diddle para, diddle para.
Yeah.
You can hear those words. Diddle para, diddle para, diddle para, and paradiddle and paradiddle. Rather than confuse them by like right, left, left, right, left, right, right, left. That's more confusing than a paradiddle. Because when I say the word diddle, they know that it's going to be 2, whether it's on the left hand or the right hand at that time.
Right.
And so just learning those 5, 6, and 7, line 5, 6, and 7 is going to bump you up. If you start way down on the ladder, working your singles and doubles, and then your paradiddles. So each time that you learn something new, you get a new rung on the ladder, and you just keep climbing by the year, by the month, and then by the year, by the years, and you just keep climbing and climbing. And I don't think you could ever reach the very top. I think there's always room for learning something new.
Yeah, absolutely. Absolutely. I still have that book back here on my shelf from like 1970 or something, my original book from when I was 7 years old or whatever. Yeah. And it's such a great analogy that you got to learn the ABCs first, because it really is a language. You're learning a language. Yeah. Interesting. Talk about the concept of drummers being band leaders. There's been so many drummers that are band leaders, and so many drummers that also become great producers in the studio. Is there a correlation there between drummers and band leaders and drummers and producers? What is it that we may understand about music in a way that I don't want to say other musicians don't, but that do help us be good band leaders?
I think we have to learn more. We have to learn all the intricacies that are inside, rather than one single note like on a trumpet, boom, 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 boom. We are 4 limbs, and we have to learn different combinations. I know that the trumpets will learn, quarters and your 16th notes and 32nd notes and 64th notes, possibly, but drummers have to be able to play them with their limbs.
Yeah.
So we just have, I don't know. I just feel like we have a lot more knowledge of what's musical to spread the word with.
Maybe a different kind of understanding of what's happening all at the same time as well because of that.
Yeah. Yeah.
The band. Yeah. Interesting. Do you go to concerts, Dorothea?
Well, they're never local. I have been to a few, but when you have a husband that doesn't really like concerts.
Oh. What does he do, if you don't mind me asking?
He just worked, he was a salesman, and then he was a construction overseer, of new home developments and stuff. So his name is James Taylor, but he doesn't play music.
Oh. But I would guess he's supportive because you're doing what you're doing and you're still married, I suppose, right?
Yeah, he has to be, because I guess he figured after he got married and figured that I wasn't going to ever play drums again, even having children and all. And I fooled him back then. I guess he's finally getting over it and just going with it now after 54 years.
Oh my gosh, that's hilarious.
But I think he would still rather me not be a drummer. really, because he's not a
Really?
musician.
Yeah. Interesting.
But he's getting a kick out of uh, all the social media stuff because I do hear him when he doesn't know that I'm hearing him telling somebody, that I'm on TikTok and I have a lot of followers and stuff.
Yeah.
So I think he is kind of mellowing a little bit.
That's great. He's secretly your biggest fan, I'm
Yeah,
sure.
yeah,
Yeah. He's bragging. People are stopping him and he's signing autographs and there's this secret shadow life that he's living under your umbrella that you don't even know about.
maybe.
That's great. Uh, if you don't mind me asking a little bit about your family life, do your kids and grandkids live anywhere near you?
Well, my daughter and her husband and my grandson that you see in the videos, he's playing guitar with me and
Hmm.
stuff, and he plays piano really well. They
Yeah.
live here in Myrtle Beach.
Oh,
And
great.
then my other son my other sons live in Charleston. The one that has the 2.5-year-old and the 3-month-old lives in Charleston, and then my other son, he doesn't have any children. He lives
Great.
down that way also.
Awesome.
So it's about 2 hours from here.
Yeah. Everyone's relatively close.
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah. None of our kids live in the same state, and that's by design. No, I'm kidding. We're in Arizona and they're in California and Nevada and Oregon. Yeah. But
Yeah,
we're all on the
that
same
would
side
be
of the
hard
country.
because, like the 15-year-old, this is his first year, ninth grade, that he hasn't gotten off the bus in our yard and come in. So I've
Oh,
had him after school. Well, even I used to babysit him before he even started school. So he started playing drums when he was 2 years old. I had a little kid
great.
up there because he knew where one was
Yeah.
automatically too. But this is
Awesome.
his first year because they live in Myrtle Beach. We live on the outside of it. And so he has to go to a different school because it's too far to drive and too much traffic early in the morning for the parents to drop him off. So I kind of miss that because we have this good connection. So sometimes
Yeah.
he'll just call me on the weekend and say, Grandma, can I come spend the night? And then we jam the whole time he's here.
Oh, that's great.
And he knows all the drum parts, fills and everything to songs, even though he's not a drummer, but
Yeah.
he knows how to, his technique, you can tell that he's not a drummer,
Yeah.
but he can sit and play all the parts.
So it sounds like he has a good ear and a good memory for it,
Very,
which is
very,
important.
yeah,
Yeah.
very,
That's
very
great.
good here. Yeah.
Awesome. Well, this leads us to the Dorothea Taylor fun fact segment where I ask, what do you like to do, Dorothea, other than the obvious spending time with family? What do you like to do that's totally away from music? Do you have any hobbies? Do you collect anything? What's your thing to do totally outside of music that makes you happy?
Okay. I think you probably have seen in the videos in TikTok and Instagram of me with my slingshot.
Yes.
So we'll get behind the slingshot and go out in the country for a ride, get away from the traffic here, and
Yeah.
just go out in the country and ride and ride.
Great. That sounds fun.
Now that the weather is warmer, so we did
Yeah.
that the other day. Then today my husband took his brother, who has never been in the slingshot, I don't think. They went for a couple of hour ride. So
And describe what that is for those who don't know, because they might think you're hunting squirrels with a
yeah.
Y-shaped stick and a rubber band,
Yeah, it's made by Polaris, and Polaris makes snowmobiles and four-wheelers.
Yeah.
So they make this slingshot, which is like a motorcycle.
Yeah.
So it's like a motorcycle. I mean, motor car. I'm sorry. So it looks like a bat. Ours looks like a Batmobile. It's black, and it has 2 wheels in the front, and 1 in the back, and then 2 seats.
Right.
So some states you have to wear helmets because it's required, but most states you don't have to. So whenever I was doing videos for Polaris, they made me wear a helmet because apparently where Polaris is made, they have to wear helmets.
Yeah.
They didn't want anything bad to happen, and me showing, doing a video for them, but we never wear them around here.
So going out for a country cruise in your slingshot.
Yeah. So that's my thing to do.
That's fine. It's therapeutic to get out on the road, isn't it?
Oh, it is.
Yeah.
We just drive out in the country and just enjoy, grab something to eat somewhere, and on a day that I don't have to rush home and do anything, don't have to teach or
That's
do a
great.
Zoom or whatever.
Yeah. That's great. Thanks for sharing that. Cool. I want to give some shout outs to some people commenting. Rick Rubin says shalom. Shalom, Rick. Thank you. Colano Sparks put up some fun emojis, a heart, a drum, and a crown to the queen of drumming, the godmother of drumming, here with us. And Rick Rubin also says amazing. I want to thank everybody for joining us and thank everybody for following what we do here on Drum Talk TV on our various channels and our website. Check out our membership site at drumtalktvbrilliance.com. Steve will put that in the comments. And Dorothea, tell everyone how they can get a hold of you if they want to take lessons or see you play. Where can they follow you?
The best thing to do is to message me on Instagram. I kind of see those before I do TikTok, because I have 1.6 million followers on TikTok. So it's hard to really scroll through all the comments.
Yeah.
And messages, but I can see them easier on my Instagram. But on Instagram and TikTok, I go by the same, whatever you call it, same name. It's Taylor, Taylor, all lowercase, Dorothea, Taylor.Dorothea.
Great.
And then you can find me on YouTube and Facebook as well.
Yeah.
I do a little bit on YouTube. I'm trying to remember to do more and more on it.
Yeah. Great. That's great. Thanks so much for taking time on an evening like this, and hang on the line with me for a couple minutes after we say goodbye to the audience.
Thanks for having me.
Yeah, really appreciate it. Thank you. And thanks everyone for joining us, whether you're watching us live or on the archive. And we'll be back with more fun real soon. Thanks everybody. We'll see you soon.